Have you ever felt stuck? Like you're living the same routine as everyone else, watching opportunities pass by and thinking, can I actually get something different? Yeah, you're not alone. The truth is, most people just accept the usual path without questioning it, while only a few dare to break patterns, take emotional control, and act with discipline. And that's exactly where transformation kicks in. When you realize extraordinary results don't come from repeating the same thing, they come from conscious action. Imagine waking up every day full of self-confidence, knowing every step you take is aligned with your purpose, that every decision is yours, not the herd's. Motivational quotes might sound cheesy, but when you actually apply them, they become the fuel that drives life forward. Gratitude stops being just compliance and becomes a starting point, sparking a unique energy to carve your own path. And what if I told you there's a way to break out of the routine, flip the script, and start seeing results that seemed impossible until now? It's not magic, it's not luck. It's strategy, consistency, and courage. It's understanding that success isn't about following others. It's about creating your own path and making every action count. So the question is, are you ready to find out how to take that first step? People keep repeating what they see, as if common sense were a success manual. But they don't realize that mediocrity feeds exactly on that. Automatic routines, lack of questioning, absence of purpose. True entrepreneurship starts when someone decides to think differently, when they realize copying everyone else doesn't produce extraordinary results. Discipline is the antidote to unconscious repetition. It's funny how humans look for security in the predictable, even if it keeps them stuck. The kind of consistency that transforms comes from small daily choices, the ones no one else wants to make. While most people chase shortcuts, those who build self-confidence and emotional control understand that real progress is silent, built in the hours when nobody's clapping. That's where lasting results are born. A lot of people say they want to change their lives, but they keep copying the herd. They complain about boredom, but live the routine they chose out of fear of standing out. Mediocrity isn't about lack of talent, it's lack of courage. And when someone starts seeing that, something inside awakens, a restlessness that gradually pushes them to the next step. Stepping out of the herd. Stepping out of the herd is like swimming upstream, exhausting at first, liberating later. You need courage to look around and realize that the most crowded paths rarely lead anywhere new. Entrepreneurship is that. It's challenging the flow, questioning the obvious, acting even when nobody believes. Motivational quotes sound nice, but without discipline and action, they're just words thrown to the wind. Most people talk about change, but few actually move. Emotional control acts as a shield here because the world will test your patience, your faith, your self-confidence. While some give up at the first criticism, others learn to turn discomfort into fuel. Consistency is what separates dreamers from doers, the ones who talk about what they want from the ones who get up and make it happen. Stepping out of the herd is the first step to discovering who you really are. That's when your mind starts to expand and see the game from a new angle. And when courage becomes a habit, something silently changes. Complacency loses meaning, and your gaze turns inward, where true gratitude lives. True gratitude isn't an invitation to settle. It's recognizing what you've already achieved before going for more. It's the quiet fuel of anyone practicing purposeful entrepreneurship. The difference is that the grateful act lightly, while the complacent hide behind excuses. Discipline is the thread that separates these two paths. One leads to growth, the other to stagnation disguised as peace. Confusing gratitude with resignation makes you lose life's rhythm. Emotional control reminds you that giving thanks isn't giving up. It's gearing up for the next level. Self-confidence comes when you understand you can be grateful and ambitious at the same time. One doesn't cancel out the other. That mindset drives real results, the kind nobody can take away. Gratitude isn't the finish line. It's the starting line. It's the mindset that precedes action, the spark that reignites purpose. Those who get this stop living in good enough and start going for I can go further. And it's exactly at that moment, when your heart is grateful but your mind wants to evolve, that the first mental step appears, deciding not to accept the common path. It all starts in the mind. Before any result, there's the quiet decision not to settle for ordinary. That's when entrepreneurship stops being theory and becomes action. You realize you weren't born to follow patterns. You were born to make your own path. And this shift doesn't happen overnight. It takes discipline, consistency, and emotional control that few are willing to develop. The world tries to convince you that fitting in is safer, going with the flow, not risking it. But those who truly decide to change get that too much safety is also a prison. Self-confidence grows when the mind chooses freedom over comfort. It's a daily exercise. Every limiting thought must be replaced by an idea of expansion. That's how results are born. Results that transform not just finances, but the very meaning of living. This mental decision is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, everything that seemed right starts being questioned. And that's when questioning becomes liberation. The moment you realize society conditions you, but an awakened mind can rewrite its own destiny. From an early age, society teaches the safe path: study, work, pay bills, repeat until the end. But the problem is, this script was written to produce conformity, not freedom. Entrepreneurship is born when someone starts doubting that script. Questioning breaks the invisible bars. Discipline and consistency become tools to turn doubt into direction and curiosity into action. Questioning is dangerous for those living by appearances, but liberating for those seeking purpose. When someone starts thinking for themselves, they inevitably annoy people, and that's when emotional control becomes a shield. Self-confidence builds every time someone chooses to stay true to their own truth rather than please the crowd. That's when motivational quotes stop being cliches and actually make sense in practice. Society will try to pull back anyone who strays from the norm. They'll call you crazy, a dreamer, naive. But it's in that friction that your mind strengthens. Questioning liberates because it teaches that not every criticism comes from wisdom. Sometimes it comes from fear. And it's this fear, often from those closest, that can limit those ready to grow. Not everyone around you wants to see you succeed. Sometimes their fear speaks louder than support. When someone chooses the path of entrepreneurship, they trigger an uncomfortable mirror in others, the reflection of everything they never had the courage to do. That's when advice disguised as concern starts. That's why emotional control and discipline are so necessary. So outside fear doesn't poison your faith in your own results. People project their limits onto those trying to go further. Friends say, "Take it easy." Relatives comment, "This isn't for you." And before you know it, they try to pull you into their safe zone. Self-confidence is what keeps you steady when the world tries to shrink you. Consistency is what shows, with time, that you weren't wrong, just ahead. It's sad, but liberating to realize, not all love encourages. Sometimes what looks like care is disguised control. And when the entrepreneur notices this game, they change stance. They start listening more to their own intuition than to others' opinions. Because in the end, opinions reflect the consciousness of the person giving them. And that's where the next awakening happens. Not every opinion deserves space in your mind. Often what people say reflects their world more than yours. In entrepreneurship, realizing this is freeing. Negative comments, criticisms, or poorly framed advice aren't personal attacks. They're projections of someone else's level of awareness. Emotional discipline is vital here, because without it, your mind gets distracted and self-confidence wavers. Those who build consistency and emotional control learn to filter what's constructive and what's noise. Every motivational quote you've ever heard makes sense when applied this way. It's not about pleasing others. It's about acting with clarity and purpose. And it's this clarity that opens the door for concrete results, because your mind stops being polluted by outside judgment. Learning to listen without getting contaminated is subtle but powerful. When you realize that every opinion says more about the giver than about you, freedom grows. And that's where the search for personal meaning begins. The next step to renew purpose and find your own direction. When someone starts seeking personal meaning, everything changes. Entrepreneurship stops being just about money and becomes about impact, learning, and growth. That's when motivational quotes stop being cliches and become daily fuel. Discipline and consistency follow naturally, because every action has a higher purpose, and emotional control is essential to stay on track. Finding purpose is like turning on a light at the end of a dark tunnel. Self-confidence grows alongside clarity about what really matters. Every decision stops being automatic and becomes intentional. Results gain meaning and lose pressure because now every achievement aligns with your true north, not others' expectations. Seeking personal meaning also opens the door to inner transformation. What was once meaningless routine becomes constant learning. And at that moment, when your mind aligns with your values, the strength to say, "I don't want this for me," emerges. That very next step sparks true transformation. Saying, "I don't want this for me," is more than a phrase. It's a silent manifesto of change. In entrepreneurship, this moment marks breaking with old patterns and consciously choosing to seek different results. Discipline and consistency become your companions, because now every decision is guided by purpose, not convention. Emotional control keeps you calm in the face of the fear that comes with this break. When someone takes this stance, self-confidence skyrockets. They realize the power to transform is inside them, and nothing external can define their limits. That's when motivational quotes stop being fleeting inspiration and become a daily trigger for action. Every choice, no matter how small, contributes to real, lasting results. And that's when the mind opens to creating its own path. Saying, "I don't want this for me," breaks the herd mentality and starts showing what it means to craft your own life. And that vision of what's ahead sets the stage for the next step, building your own success. True success isn't following a ready-made mold. It's designing your own path. In entrepreneurship, those brave enough to step out of the herd face challenges no one else sees, but also opportunities no one else notices. Discipline and consistency become constant allies, while emotional control keeps your mind steady through criticism and obstacles. Real results come when courage turns into action. Creating your own path requires self-confidence. You have to trust your judgment, decisions, and vision for life even when everyone else questions it. Motivational quotes stop being mere words. They become daily reminders that it's possible to do things differently, break patterns, and achieve something unique. Every conscious step strengthens your sense of purpose and accomplishment. Breaking away from the herd also brings freedom. The path may be lonely, but it's incredibly rewarding. When someone realizes this, they understand life doesn't have to be a collective repeat. It can be a personal construction of meaning and success. And that's when everything clicks, creating space to reflect on how each journey can be shaped and transformed. It's time to reflect. Will you keep repeating the herd? Or will you take control of your life and create your own path? Every concept we've explored, courage, discipline, self-confidence, emotional control, consistency, is a powerful tool you can start applying today. Transformation begins when you choose to act, when you stop listening to others' fears and start prioritizing your own results. Think, are you doing enough to break free from the ordinary? Or are you still letting other people's opinions and insecurities guide you? What actions can you take now to push your life forward and bring you closer to the success you've always dreamed of? The answer is inside you, but only if you choose to move. Ask yourself, am I willing to do things differently, break patterns, and chase something bigger? Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep learning. Every video is one more step toward freedom, toward the results you deserve, and toward the life you've always wanted to build.